Hello and welcome. Do you know what we're doing today? We're vlogging because, when you're frustrated late at night and you can't reorganize your bookshelf, you should let people watch you. These are skills that you've learned in save management. And pretty much the issue is, it's not an issue because it's a very good thing that my friend gave me Dr. St. Elizabeth Frankenstein. This is my favorite shelf. I want to fit it here. It does not fit because... And in the end, my favorite shelf looks amazing. Look at that. It's not completely color coordinated anymore, but I still love it. I don't know how, there's addresses everywhere here, so this is difficult. I already know what this book is, but I'm still very excited that she sent it to me. It's my Christmas present. Look at this baby. She's nice and sexy. And this is, there's a note in the beginning because she loves me. She says, I saw it, and then here, I hope you are having as much reading this as I did. Margaret. She's so cute. So this is from Margaret the Word Nerd, one of my favorite people on the internet. It's not that I'm ranking people, but she is. And this is the sequel to The Gilded Wolves, which is a novel I really, really... So I'm starting my first real King book, and I'm a little scared. It's the Institute. It's going to be a long ride, but I'm starting it off. I read Shawshank Redemption before, but again, it isn't really in the typical style as King, so I'm excited to be scared, I guess. It's something I never thought I would do, but I'm gonna do, so I am nearly complete the Institute, and I'm really, really loving it. I never really thought I was going to read a King horror book or a horror book in general, and I did, and I'm really enjoying it. I really love the action. I really enjoy the characters. I was really confused how the stories were going to connect because they're both really fantastic, but they did, and I'm loving it. I just love the vibe, the writing style, the way it's written, the action is really well. I think that King is an author that I could really fall in love with, even though I thought I never would, which is just so bizarre to me. Like, you should always continue to expand your horizons, because since joining BookTube, I have discovered so many more genres that I didn't think I would even like. And horror is always like the one that I said I would never ever go near with a 10-foot pole, and here I am reading The King of Horror. So this is an adventure. It doesn't seem very horror-esque to me. It seems much more science fiction with kids with magical abilities and governments that are shady, except for it's set in real life thing. It is a little bit more grotesque than I think a lot of science fictions go, but it also is adult, so I think that has an aspect to it that adult books tend to be a lot darker in tone. I don't know if there is going to be any super horror-esque things at the end or something like that. I have 2 hours left of the audiobook. It's way too late, but I'm I can't set it down. I read 17 hours of this audiobook today on 3 speed, but still, I'm just addicted, and it's lovely. I just finished The Institute, and I really, really love it. It's pretty flawless to me. I give it 4 stars. For people, I was trying to figure out issues in the book because I didn't have any. I know that Daniel Green commented that he found Luke not the most compelling main character, and I do agree that he doesn't have a huge amount of personality. He is 12 years old, so I think that some of that is his just really intelligent, and that's what mostly is focused on. And then we also have a lot of emotional depth from him, so even though we don't have the most unique protagonist, we do have a protagonist who we are allowed to have a lot of emotions with, which I very much enjoy. I do agree that he could have had probably a little bit much more uniqueness, but in the end it didn't bother me. And then I was trying to find other issues, so I was reading through 1-star reviews and 2-star reviews, and all of them are New King just isn't as good as Old King, and I was okay, well, I can't talk about that, but this was an amazing book. And in the middle, ratings were all yeah, this was depressing, and it kind of depressed me, and I'm kind of glad it's over. I realized it was a good book, but I just didn't love it because it depressed me. And for some reason, it didn't depress me. I am more depressed reading Shadow of the Wind, which isn't necessarily a depressing book, than this one, which I guess, I don't know. I realize that it comes out of talking about real events, or inspired by real events happening in the US about separation of families and things like that. So again, that is horrifying and it's heavy, but it also is very compelling to read about these stories and be immersed and taking fiction and making fictional aspects of abilities and things like that to actually tell a story that is relevant today. And I really appreciate that as a medium. It's a type of storytelling I've always really, really enjoyed, and it didn't bother me. I get that it was politically motivated, but who am I to complain about politics? Everyone has bias and everyone has influence, and again, when I agree with a lot of the elements Obviously, it's not going to bother me again if I was on the opposite side. It probably would. But who knows? I also love Anthem, even though I'm like a little bit of a socialist. Like, definitely, well, like political, like democratic socialist all the way, and yet I love Anthem. Literally a book like denouncing collectivism completely. So I can enjoy books when I totally disagree with them. However, this is totally rant. Anyways, should go to bed because it's really, really late. It's like 2:55 at night. We'll talk about this later. But I am going to be reading a little bit of Little Ladies, not Little Ladies. This is Little Legends. This is the sequel to Little Dreamers and Little Leaders, and this is about exceptional men in Black history. I really, really enjoy Vashti Harrison's drawing. I just think it's extraordinary, and I'm just gonna calm down, have a like low-key night in the middle of the night to relax. And what did I start? I started Dragon Reborn, the third in the Wheel of Time, when I was writing my review and doing some research and stuff. And I'm just not getting into Wheel of Time. I really want to, but I'm just not. And I don't know, if I don't get into this one, I might be calling it quits, but I feel so bad because I know it's such a classic. But apparently, like, the slog happens at like 3-6. Might be boring. I think that the narrator is a big part of it, and I don't find Jordan's writing style that immersive. Like, I find that it's overly done well. It's just, it doesn't appeal to me. It doesn't draw me in. So because the books are so long and so full of things, if I'm not drawn in by the actual writing style, it comes off boring. And I'm not bored exactly. I'm just more like, yeah, mediocre feeling. And I'm not as drawn in or loving characters. And I like those books where I remember lines and I'm like immersed really largely into it. Anyways, this is way too long of a section, so we'll talk to you next time. It's really not that dark here. It's just, my goodness, it's gloomy and it's in a car, so I barely have no light. Okay, I'm gonna be quick. So I'm watching the Super Bowl tonight for the first time ever. Yeah, I know. That's the kind of kid I am. Like, I think I've watched parts of it, but I've never been into football. It's ridiculously slow. Why do you stop so many times? Watch hockey. Anyways, but I am a fair amount into The Dragon Reborn. I stayed up way too late listening to it because, you know, that's kind of the person I am. And I ended up really enjoying it. I'm enjoying the fact that we don't have a lot of Rand because I think he's my least favorite character. And I think I was doing Sudoku when listening to it, and I think that, like, not being completely distracted from it, because I'm often, like, cleaning or cooking or, like, doing things where I'm, like, reading other things while doing it, and I think really focusing on it helps me because the writing style doesn't do a lot for me. Anyways, that's my quick check-in. I will talk to you guys later. So I'm currently around 19 hours into my audiobook of The Dragon Reborn, and I have 6 hours left, and I'm actually really enjoying it. I'm surprised how much. I was kind of fatigued after the first two, especially after the second, because it just didn't grab me, but now that we're not following Rand as much, I'm golden. And I know that's probably heathenism, because, you know, he's the star of the whole thing, but I love the women characters, I love the Aes Sedai, and that's just the part that I'm really enjoying following. I love the other characters so much more, so now that we're getting, rather than, like, I think 90% of the book, we have, like, 0% of the book, I just love it so much, and I love characters, like, assemble cast stories because you can hate the main character and still love the story. So I'm excited to be diving more into it, and I think that it has earned me a few more books worth of care. It is hard because, again, it's a series that I want to read, but when all of the audiobooks are at least 25 hours long, even on 3 times, that's still, like, you know, a really large chunk of my time. Like, I think I did the math, and overall it is like 21 days of audiobooks. Something like that. It's crazy amount. 14 books that are massive. So it's a big commitment, and even though I want to watch it or listen to it and read it, it's like, if I'm not enjoying it, do I really want to put that much effort into it? So I'm definitely going to give it a few more books, and hopefully I will fall in love completely, because again, it's not one of my favorite series yet, but I am really enjoying it right now, so I'm excited. So it's now about a week later, but it's never too late to come back, you know, give some recommendations, because I'm really bad at giving shoutouts because they really actually scare me. It's hard to, like, give a few sentences that encapsulate how you feel about someone, and I feel like normally you feel stronger more than you can word things. I guess that's just me. So I'm always nervous about doing shoutouts because I'm like, how do I not say something that, like, maybe they're not gonna think what I think about them, or, like, are weirded out by how strongly I like them. Anyways, we're gonna give a shout out to Justin from the Ghost Reader. I have followed him literally since his newbie tag, and I always appreciate his love for history, as well as his just general in-depth love of many things, and he always has an educational feel to his videos, and also super approachable and has cool hats. I've worn his hats, they're nice. Anyways, I want to let you guys know that he is doing every weekday during February for Black History Month. He is doing a video kind of diving into Black topics, and it's really amazing. I watched today the one about lynching, as well as the one about just like him goofing off and trying to name every country in Africa, which is true because most people don't actually know the countries in Africa. They're like, it is one big continent, despite being like the largest one. Anyways, so really love his channel, you should check it out. And then we also have his recommendation in that video was literally talking about the hedonist, the cerebral hedonist. I don't know her real name, but she is really awesome. She does a really good conversation on like why people kind of tokenize history and representation really well. And like I think that there's such a fine line between really appreciating diversity because you want to understand people and think critically about it versus just wanting to have a token of I'm not racist, pat on my shoulder. So I really appreciate the conversation where she's kind of like, a lot of people make excuses to why they're not doing it, but you should just own if you don't read diversely. Just don't read 1 month and say you're a diverse reader. And I think that it's hard because I think that events really can be the stepping off point of people finding more diverse reading, and it's just their ignorance, and it also can just make people feel good about being diverse when they're really not. So I think that making an effort to read critically and to understand people outside of people who look like you or have the same experience of you is such an important aspect. And I watched a few of her other videos as well, and they're just very critical. They're very, not critical as negative, but very critical thinking, well depth in conversation, and the kind of content I just really, really love. So that was longer than I expected, but I'm good at gushing. So we're gonna move on to my final thoughts about The Dragon Reborn. So I did the calculations. I'm at this point in the Wheel of Time 6% done. 6% done after 3 books of 14, but they're really, really long. So I don't know. This was my favorite out of all of them. I gave them 3 stars, even though I've given all 3 stars, but that's kind of my middle of the road. It was a good book. It was an amazing book. And yet I appreciate like how he forms books, how he does magic systems, all of these things, but I'm not in love with the characters. I think Rand is my least favorite just because I don't like the token person very much, like the token hero. Like, for instance, even in Avatar: The Last Airbender, one of my favorite series of all time, I really appreciate Aang as a character, but he's my least favorite out of all of the gang. Do I hate him? No. Kind of like Rand. I kind of zone out a little bit more during his scenes, and I tend not to be enmeshed. I am going to give the next one a chance, and we're going to continue on this Wheel of Time, won't we, will we kind of thing. It's gonna be fun. Really enjoyed reading King for the first time in the horror-esque, and it was awesome. I don't know if there's anything, other things I should be wrapping up, but I'm forgetting. We will see you later. If you want to be more up to date with what I'm reading, you can follow me on Instagram. I also do out on Twitter, but that's more book related, like book internet related rather than book related, but I always enjoy having conversations with people on there and everything like that. Happy reading, writing, and I will see you soon. Bye.